record button. Amazing. Okay, so we are, hey Megan, nice to see you. So we are talking about follow-ups to your inquiries. It is a hot topic, and I've got some great stuff to share with you. So before I get into it, my aim is not to have to do too much follow-up. And I know that seems obvious, but what we want to do is work on having the sales journey so smooth and streamlined that we are doing less of that kind of manual chasing. Does that make sense? Because actually, if we've got, as most of you do have, you've updated your website pages, you've streamlined that sales journey, you've got your packages and your pricing streamlined, they know the button to press for the next step. If that is all streamlined, then the majority of people are going to go through that journey. And that's what we want, because that's all happening for us without us having to really get too involved before they're warmed up and ready to move ahead. So that's the first thing I would say. Get that part working really well for you so that people who are coming into your world, sending you an email, clicking the button to book a Zoom call with you, whatever is your next step, we want that working really well. And then we've just got those odd people, those handful of people who are then going to email or who you're going to need to chase. So just let me know in the chat if that makes sense to start with, because that part is definitely where we want to focus. And it's almost like a safety net then for the actual follow-up itself. Can someone open the chat for me so it's there and I can see your comments as we go through? Just pop a hello. Brilliant. Thank you. Carolyn, agree with all the changes I've made with the sales part. Very little follow-up now. Yay. Well done, Carolyn. Amazing. And this is what we want, right? We want to reduce the kind of effort, the manual effort on our side for all of those people who are kind of time wasters and tire kickers, right? And we should be weeding them out through that sales journey. So that I just kind of want to start off with that, because that's going to be your best form of attack here, really, is to have that sales journey really streamlined. Okay, let me just check it. No worries, Sean. I think Sean's having some troubles joining us. Can you hear us now? Lovely. I can see people jumping in and out. Just going to pause a second, make sure everybody's in and the internet is working. Good. Okay. So with that said, what I am going to do is give you some tactics, some options for things you can do if people are not on that sales journey for some reason. They've fallen off it. They've wanted to email you anyway. Now they've ghosted you. And now you've just got this random handful of leads that you don't know what to do with. And that's the part we're going to look at today. So let me share my screen and we will get going. All right, just give me a Y for yes if you can see my screen, if that is sharing properly for you, and we will get started. Amazing, thank you. All right, let me know how you feel. I love a little survey at the beginning. Let me know how you currently feel about how well your follow-up is working. A, great. You've got a strategy, it's in place, it's consistent, and it's working. B, it's okay, but I'm not always consistent and results are patchy. Or C, awful, not consistent and no strategy. So let me know how you feel currently about the system you have in place. Suze, you're making me laugh. Big fat C, she says. Okay, so no strategy, not consistent. Monya's doing okay, not always consistent, but it's happening. Megan is an A. You already have a great strategy that's in place. Tim, A, B. Okay, good. You guys, I'm going to encourage you to share with us at the end what you're doing as well. Emma's a C. We've got Dimitri's a B. Okay, perfect. So, what are we talking about? I'm specifically talking about that kind of period after that initial inquiry. And it's important to separate that from the rest of the sales journey. If they are completely cold, or if you've already been on a Zoom call with them and actually they're quite hot, they're in a different part of the journey. What we're looking at here is really those people who have reached out, have maybe never responded or responded once, and it's after that initial inquiry. Yeah, go Megan, exactly, Emma. What I'm going to share with you are a handful of options, because you probably already know that when it comes to follow-up, there is not a one-size-fits-all that's going to work here. And that's because all of your businesses are different and all of your clients are different. So I want you to look at the things I'm going to share with you and think, okay, I could use that part, I could use that part. Rather than it being a very cookie cutter, this is what everybody should be doing as follow-up. All right, let's get to work. Tell me in the comments, why is follow-up so important and why do we hate it so much? Because we do, right? Why is it so important and why do we hate it so much? Tell me in the comments. Tim, yeah, it feels rude and aggressive. I hear you. Emma, success is in the follow-up. Love it. Megan, it's important because we can easily lose clients. Absolutely. Absolutely. Why anybody else not like it and no? Yeah, Emma, it can make you look desperate. It's interesting, isn't it? Look at our feeling about this. Carol, we want to keep front of mind, but we don't want to annoy. Yes. Demetria, it feels like pestering, but lets them know we haven't forgotten about them. It's this real balance, isn't it? And you can hear it coming through of everyone saying, yeah, we know we need to be front of mind, but we don't want to be that annoying, pushy, pestering person. So follow-up is super important because we know that people are just time poor, their attention is all over the place. It might not be that they don't want your product or service. It might just be they have something else going on right now. Monya, it's important so that the client knows we're still interested in their business. Emma, as it really frustrates me if people spam me to follow up with no strategy. Yes, and we're going to talk about that, absolutely. You might have heard me tell you before that the average number of person receives 122 emails every day. And for some of you, you might be thinking, yeah, you can double that. But the average person, think about all their personal emails, all their business emails. There are hundreds coming at them. So if they've reached out to you, looking for a bit more information, looking for some clarity on something, yeah, and Emma, everything lands in junk. Yeah, we have some serious issues with that too. The likelihood of them kind of having your email at the top of their inbox is kind of low, right? Imagine if you send something today and then 120 emails pings on top of you. It might not be that they didn't want you or want to speak to you. And I think we have to remember that. Like, we get in our own way thinking, I don't want to pester them, but actually that you've just dropped really far down their inbox. Just give me a Y for yes if that makes sense, because it's not pestering, it's actually helpful. How many times has somebody reached back out to you a week later, days later, and said, did you need my help with that? Did you want that thing? And you're like, oh yes, actually I do want that thing. I just forgot about it, you know, didn't have my credit card to hand, didn't have 5 minutes to think about it. Happens to me a lot. And I'm happy when people reach out. Yes, Demetria, absolutely, happens to me as well. So Demetria's saying, I've done that with emails where I've forgotten to reply. You know, it pings in and you think, great, I'll answer that in 10 minutes. Something else happens, someone calls, you get busy, it falls down the inbox and it disappears off the face of the planet, right? So be aware that we're getting in our own way. Our clients are busy. They have lives, businesses, jobs, kids. They have stuff going on. You are not like at the top of their priority list. So we need to actually help them in that way. Neha uses HubSpot. Yeah, absolutely. They track your emails. But sometimes I get annoyed when people read my email and don't respond. Then sometimes people reply many weeks later as they were waiting for something. Exactly. We can't know every scenario. Carol, did a virtual viewing yesterday with a couple who inquired in December. You gave up on them in February, but obviously shouldn't have done. And I think especially with the way the world is right now, we have to give people a little bit more kind of slack than we normally would, because actually there are other things affecting them making a decision faster. Okay. So this is what we all resort to usually, or when we are short of time, or maybe because we just don't know what else to say, right? So you can replace brochure with whatever your thing is that you send out. But a lot of people, and maybe you've had businesses send this to you, will say, just checking in to see if you received the brochure. I can see you're laughing. So give me a yes if this is kind of your fallback of not really sure what else to say, and you thought you would just check in with them to see. Oh no, says Demetria. Remember, we're in a safe place inside the membership. Okay, let's break it down. So this phrase is a little bit like, for those of you that have done the email module, and I always say to you, don't start with congratulations on your engagement and thanks for your inquiry. This falls into that category, all right? Monya, oh yeah, the I don't know what to say message. I know, and I get it. I do the same. I open a message and I think, should I just ask them if they received my email? But then I have to have a little chat with myself and say, no, come on, you know better. Why doesn't this work? Let's break it down. It's not just because I don't like it. Why doesn't this work? Let's get in the psychology of what's going on. Tell me in the comments. Why doesn't this work? Even if you don't use it, share with me why you don't use it. Monya, it's cold and distant. Yeah, could be. I mean, you might fluff it up, and I'm sure lots of people do with the whole, I hope you're well. Just check and see if you received the brochure. Demetria, it's a yes or no answer. It's even deeper than that, Demetria, but you're on the right path. What do you think your potential bride in this scenario can respond? So I want you to put yourself in her position, be the bride, be the consumer, be the buyer, and you get an email from a business, a person, a service, a venue that says, hi, I sent you the brochure last week, just checking in to see if you received it. Have you had time to look at it? Any thoughts or questions? Because that's how the email usually gets structured. Sue, sounds like they didn't do their job. Yeah. Absolutely, Suze. It's a little bit like, did you do the thing I told you to do? It seems that our goal is to know if they got the brochure and that's it. Yes, interesting. Well done, Monya. Neha, everyone does it. Yes, thank you. Everyone does it. And it doesn't relate to their wedding, and sometimes she's going to ignore it. What can we actually expect them to write here? I mean, honestly, one option is they say, yes, I did read the brochure and I just haven't had time, or it didn't inspire me to respond to you. That could be like, they're not going to write it, but that's what's going on in their head. Yeah, I read it, but it didn't inspire me to take action. They're not going to tell you that. Or, no, I didn't see your email because it got buried under 120 other emails, and now I just feel bad for not having read your email. So can you see how this question almost never has a positive response from the buy-in side? Just give me a Y for yes if there was a little penny drop there. There is no good answer that she can give you to this question. I've been busy, I've read it, I didn't like it, don't know, didn't see your email, now I just feel guilty. Like, the buyer feels bad for this with this question. It doesn't work. Just give me a Y for yes if this makes sense, because I really want you to see it from her point of view. Okay, fantastic. What we want to do instead is love our couples, right? You know, that's the way I kind of teach sales anyway, is how can we help them to buy? How can we love them a little bit better? And I know that that sits well with all of you guys, and that's why we work well together, because you feel the same. We don't want to be that cold, sleazy salesperson. We want to love them more, make them feel safe, make them feel less overwhelmed with all the choices, make them feel that they're in the hands of an expert. And so we're going to love our couples a little bit more. There's two ways we can do a follow-up. One is manual and one is automated. What do I mean by that? Manual, you simply write the email physically and send it. Automated is they drop into an automated sequence. You've heard me talk about automated sequences before when we are talking about nurture sequences with your lead magnets. Could you drop your people into your lead magnet nurture sequence? Yeah, if it made sense, sure, of course you can. Can they be dropped into that sequence of emails that's going out with all that helpful information? Absolutely. Why might that be useful? Why might that work? Tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments. Why might dropping? Yeah, Megan, absolutely. They're getting to know, like, and trust you, just like your cold people who didn't know anything about you. Demetria gives them a reminder. You keep top of their inbox over the next few days. Tim reminds them without pressure. Absolutely. And your nurture sequence is all about giving value, helpful, tips, advice, downloads. It's all the good stuff. Megan, would you just add them without asking? Thank you. So if you are going to use a nurture sequence, what you can do is on your original email is do a PS. PS, over the next few days, I'll be sending you some great useful tips and advice. So then they just know it's coming. Remember that the nurture sequence is there to nurture them, to help them, to give them value. Now, you can do a second sequence. Now, for some of you, you might not want to, you might not have the CRM or the platform that allows you to do a second nurture sequence, but you might want to consider doing a second one specifically for those inquiries, because actually you could tailor the sequence to be much more geared towards somebody who's inquired with you. So in an ideal world, you could have those two sequences, one for your lead magnet, people have never heard of you, and the second one for people who have inquired and are now getting dropped into a nurture sequence specifically for those inquiries. Just give me a Y for yes if that makes sense. The manual option is absolutely one that you can do. You don't have to. I know lots of you don't love the tech. You don't have to do an automated sequence. What could be a not so great thing about the manual response? So they've inquired, you've answered with your personal email, and then, yeah, exactly, Tim, it takes so much time. So, and you're going to have to really either have some sort of system like Neha's using HubSpot, or you're going to have a great list or reminders in your calendar. So it will take you time to obviously do that. Sue's, easier to leave them off. You mean just not send it when it's manual? Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't stay front and center of our minds, does it, to follow those people up? Time consuming, says Megan. You have to keep tabs, you miss them out. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not saying not to do manual, and I'm going to share lots of ways you can do that, but think about what's going to work best in your business. And often, once they've had that initial inquiry, if they didn't take action from that, it could be that they're not hot enough to move forward anyway. Because if we've written a good email, we've given them that call to action, they haven't done it, then actually the next thing is really just for them to stay top of, or for you to stay top of their minds. Okay. So the question that people always ask me is, how soon, how many days after the initial inquiry should I send a follow-up email? Give me a number in the comments. What do you think? How many days, how soon after should we be sending a follow-up? Tim says 2 to 3. 1 hour, says Suze. Anything else? Anybody think anything different? Anybody think anything different? So we've got 1 hour and 2 to 3 days as our options. Emma, 3 to 4. So I like anywhere between the very same day to 3 days tops. So 1 to 3 days is the kind of boundary I want you to sit in. Carol, I do 1 hour after viewing, absolutely, because those are hot buyers, Carol. So that is definitely, they are down that sales journey, and I 100% agree with you. You want to be sending that after they've met with you. And 2 days after inquiry, absolutely. So if they're dropping into your nurture sequence, that could be an hour later that they start to receive that, could be the next day. That's absolutely fine, because it's all value packed. You're not sending them the inquiry response, then an hour later saying, have you read the brochure? Which wouldn't work. But if that's coming from a place of, oh, here's a really helpful budget calculator that I've created, or here's a really great blog post for when you're looking for your wedding venue, who doesn't want that? Rebecca, currently we do 3 days after the initial inquiry. That would be the max I would leave it. Why don't we want to leave it much more than 3 days for these kind of follow-ups? Why don't we want to leave it? Yeah, Emma, they've forgotten about you. Yes, Tim, they're definitely getting colder. They're definitely getting colder. Yes, people have genuine reasons, especially at the moment, why they leave it a little bit longer, or they need more time, or they can't make that final decision. But as a general rule, what we know is that the longer you leave the gap, the colder, the further they're getting from you. And somebody else is going to jump into that gap, love them, nurture them, and whisk them away. So we want to stay loving them. We want to stay top of mind. Demetria, how long would you say after sending a quote? So once you've had a call, if you've had a call, then there should be a next step agreed on that call. So if you are further along the line, they've booked a Zoom with you, on that Zoom at the end, you should be agreeing with them what happens next. And it should be quite a solid agreement. So Demetria, if you've got them on a Zoom, you've discussed everything, then you might say, great, shall I give you a call at 5 o'clock on Wednesday to see if you're ready to go ahead? Get them to agree what that next step is on the call, so you're not just chasing your tail. Okay, so 1 to 3 days. The next thing I want you to think about is the time of day. Does it matter what time we send our emails out? And this is obviously going to be more controllable when you are sending out a manual email than it is if you're dropping them into a nurture sequence, because that will happen automatically every 24 hours, for example. Does time of day matter? What do we think? Does time of day matter? Yeah, it definitely does. Love that. Thanks. Tim's like, yep, it matters, but don't know when to send it. Love it. And I'm sure everybody else is thinking the same. I really just want you to have this question in your mind. When is the best time of day? Because I don't think we do. We sit at our desk and we send the email when it's convenient for us, right? When we are attacking our inboxes. And so I really want to encourage you to think, okay, but when's the best time for my couple? Now, given that our couples are obviously planning a personal event, yes, thank you, Demetria, you definitely want to think about first thing in the morning or in the evening. Now, I get that that for you might not suit your schedule, but you could have it written and sitting in your drafts, and then all you just do is hit send to all your emails later on. There's no problem with that at all. You're not having to sit there at 8 o'clock at night and write them all. They can just be sitting in your drafts. But again, this is a big difference for our corporates to our weddings. Carol, I know my Instagram is looking at most at 6 p.m. Absolutely. And we see that with our wedding couples, don't we? We see that they're emailing us in the evenings because that's when they have time. So picture if you are sending that follow-up at 11 o'clock in the morning, they're probably busy thinking about work or, you know, other things. And actually, would it be better to send it at a different time? Also, what a lot of us do is I don't know if you do this, we have time blocks in our calendars. So let's say every Monday at 3 p.m, you chase up all your cold leads. So what that means is, and I'm saying don't do this, by the way, what that means is every week at the same time, they're getting the same kind of follow-up if you're doing it manually. But that might not be the best time for them. So if you're not getting a response, switch up your times. Did I confuse everybody by saying that? Because I love time blocking and I'm a big time blocker. But if we are sending the same thing like 3 o'clock every Monday, that is going to land in the same place and get buried under another 100 emails. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so question, when do I want to send this? Have them ready in your drafts and hit send at a time that's going to land best for them so that you're actually going to get opened and read. Okay, let's have a little pause. Tim, weekends can definitely be better than weekdays for your wedding people. Again, this is so the reverse of your corporate clients. You know, if you've got the PA from Barclays who's putting on a conference, she wants your email between 9 and 5 Monday to Friday because it's part of her job. And this is the complete opposite for our wedding couples. So you can often get responses at the weekend, so maybe things are a bit calmer, but also they're together. The couple are together. So she can say, oh, I've had this email from Tim. Should we just go through it and make, you know, do we want to take the next step? They're together. They're not separated, usually. Okay. The next thing I want to highlight is that we all live on autopilot. I am guilty as everybody else because it's just a human condition. We are all in habits. We all do the similar things in a similar way on similar days. From a sales and marketing perspective, what this means is that to get noticed, for people to stop being on autopilot, you need a pattern interrupt. You need a pattern interrupt. Things that grab your attention, things that are a bit more exciting, things that are not the same as everyone else. Again, back to that original inquiry response where I tell you not to say, congratulations on your engagement. It's a pattern interrupt because everybody else is saying it and you come with something different as your first sentence. Pattern interrupt. Oh, this is different. And that stops us being on autopilot and gets us to engage in what's happening. And so the same is true of your follow-up. We need something that's a bit interesting, maybe novel, maybe different. And when I say novel, I don't mean cheesy or weird, just new, something that isn't the same as what everybody else is saying, which is, hi, just checking in to see if you're taking a look at the brochure or if you'd seen my email. That is not a pattern interrupt. That is the same as everybody else. What do you think one of the major ways you can do a pattern interrupt is? And for most of you, you're going to not be happy about what I'm going to share with you next. What is a major way that we can do a pattern interrupt for our clients? They're on autopilot, they're reaching out, they're getting all these emails and brochures back. Yeah, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Suze. Absolutely. Video is one of the biggest. Monyo say, no. Okay, stay with me. Don't leave the building. Stay with me. Okay. How? Let's just humor me for a few moments, right? Just humor me. Yes, exactly. Megan's saying, Monyo, you'd be fab on video. She absolutely would. All of you would, because you're all fabulous in front of your clients. Right, humor me for a minute as we go through this. We know we need a pattern interrupt. How could you use video? How could this work? Thinking about follow-up, they've inquired, we've sent them a great initial email, they didn't take the next step and book a tour or a Zoom call or whatever. Now we need to do a pattern interrupt because they've forgotten about us or we didn't stand out for them. How could we use video? Yep, definitely going to help you with the know, like, and trust. Yes, Emma, absolutely. You are a real person. How often do we all feel when we're reaching out to businesses, we don't feel that human connection? We just know we want, you know, someone to, like, I'm trying to think of things we bought recently. My husband bought a tree for the garden. Like, I don't think about the person who grew the tree and loved the tree. We just know we wanted a tree, and I think he went online and ordered one. But you know, we're dealing with a business. It's not that connection that we really want. Yeah, your personality, people by people, absolutely. How much more important is it for your wedding couple to feel that connection, to see a human behind the business? We know it's absolutely critical. So how could we use video? Where could this fit in? What might we say? How could this work? Tell me in the comments. Is anybody having any thoughts of how we might use this? Because we're not going to do a video that says, hi, just checking in to see if you read the brochure. Yes, thank you, Emma. Voicemail messages. And I love those. You know, I often do that. I'll go through my Instagram account and send voice notes to new followers. Yeah, that is definitely a pattern interrupt. Address pain points, says Megan. Introduce yourself, says Tim. Yes, thank you. And why you care about their wedding. Absolutely. So I really want you to consider using video in your follow-up. And remember what I said right at the beginning. I want your sales journey working so streamlined that this isn't something that is happening all the time, because most people are going through the sales journey. Then you're sending that great first email, which hopefully gets a majority of people taking the next step. And this is then to mop up those people who have gone through those processes and are not taking action. So there's two ways we can really do this. One is in your automated sequence. This actually works best. So if you were to create, and I'll tell you the kind of things you can say in just a second, but if you were to create that short video, it's much easier to add it into your automated sequence. You can upload it somewhere like Vimeo, YouTube. Those are obviously free, you know, free ways you can upload. You can make it unlisted so no one can see it. And then the link from YouTube you put into your automated email that comes through your MailChimp, for example. Did that make sense? I didn't want to go into the tech of it all, but just so you know how that would easily work. And it actually then sits inside the body of the email. They see a screenshot of the video and it really encourages them to hit the play button, because they want to know what you said on the video. They're intrigued, they're curious. And so it's much more interesting than just receiving that text format. It is more tricky to do on a manual email, because what you'll have to do is link to the YouTube video. And we know that less people are just going to click a link. So if you say, oh, I made this video for you, click here, less people are going to do it. On the automated one, it sits in the body and they're much more likely to click the play button. The other way you can do it is if you do have their telephone number, you can text them that video. We know that text, old-fashioned messaging, has really high open rates. We know that people open text messages, and if you send a short video, they will very likely open it and watch the video. Okay, so what we are actually going to say. You will be pleased to know that this video should only be around 1 minute. You are not creating a 20-minute production. All right, let me know if just give me a word for yes if that is somewhat of a relief that you could actually just do a 1 minute video. It doesn't have to be a big production. Suze, what are your thoughts on WhatsApp? No, I love WhatsApp. It's not a no-go. I've been doing tours on video calls. No, I love it because your clients love it. We are questioning, is this what they want? But if they're WhatsApping you, if they're texting you, if they're wanting to communicate that way, roll with it. I always love to communicate in the way that your people want to communicate with you. Monya, light bulb moment. Yay! So could I say, I was sitting down with my team talking about our 22 couples and everyone asked about you and we're excited to have you on board. You could say that, you absolutely could. There are various ways you can do this. I'm going to give you one structure, but feel free to explore different ways. So, people seem to be having struggles getting in. I'm just letting people in. There we go. Carol, yes, we've been doing WhatsApp tours too and offered, yes, perfect. It's not about whether I think it's the right way. It's about the way that your clients like. So I encourage you to communicate the way they want you to communicate. So I'm not sure if I shared this example with you. No worries, Nehar. I think, yeah, Zoom's kicking a few people out. Don't worry at all. I was looking for something for the members club that I wanted to get personalized for you guys. And I contacted someone by Messenger on Facebook, and I gave them everything they needed to know. And he said, here's my email address. Can you send me this to my email? And I was like, oh, can't believe I'm trying to buy something from you. I've given you everything you needed to know. Now I get if he would have said, what's your email? I'll send you the quote to your email. Sure, fine, that's easy. But then I had to do double the work, open up an email, type everything out again, and send exactly the same message on an email. It's just crazy, isn't it? And I know we do it accidentally. I know, Emma, but if I'm in the position of the client, then we need to communicate in the like, it's fine. I did it. But I'm always looking at it from a sales and marketing perspective. And wow, do I do that to my clients? Do we do that to our couples? Okay, so the video, 1 minute. Why do I only want you to do it for 1 minute? Why not 5? Why not 5 minutes? Megan, no one has time. Yeah, Tim, they might watch the 1 minute. Yeah, absolutely. So we know, don't we? Yeah, thank you, Monica. People's attention span is short. Emma, I always communicate in their style. Yeah, absolutely, match their style. So 1 minute is your ideal number, because if they see that the video is 5 minutes long, they're unlikely to actually watch it. I know it sounds so bad, but remember where they're at. You've already sent them an initial email. They didn't take you up on the call to action. So either they're busy or they're just not that interested. And you send them a 5 minute video, they're like, yeah, I'll watch that later. And then ding, 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 it goes down the inbox. Another 120 emails on top of it. They never watch it. 1 minute, I'll give you 1 minute. That's how most people think. Oh, I'll give you 1 minute. I can do that while I'm walking to the kitchen to make a cup of tea. So 1 minute is your ideal time. This is the kind of thing I want you to think about in terms of the structure. Introduce yourself. All right, introduce yourself. They might not have any clue who you are, genuinely. They might have reached out to 50 wedding planners. They might have reached out to 20 wedding venues. They genuinely might not know who you are. And I know that's tough to hear. So remind them, hi, I am Megan and I am your celebrant here in Sydney, or I am a celebrant in Sydney. Just remind them who you are, short and snappy. Don't go into your CV. Don't give them a big list of amazing things about you, just a quick intro. Hi, I'm Kelly and I work with wedding businesses globally to drive revenue. Whatever is your thing. Then I don't want you to start selling. Don't sell on this video. you remember at the beginning, we said we don't want to be that pester person. We don't want to push. We don't want to be the sleazy salesman. This is not a sales video. All right. I want you to start with something that says, I believe. This is proven psychology that people will relate to you better if you share something that you believe that they can resonate with. All right. Now, obviously, this has to have some resonance with them. What is it that you believe? I believe that every wedding should have the best entertainment so that your guests are on the dance floor the whole time. So tell them something you believe. I believe that every bride deserves to have the most gorgeous styled room for her wedding. I believe that every wedding couple should have a venue team that takes care of them and that listens to what they want. So you sell in something amazing, but you say it by way of I believe. Just give me a Y for yes if that made sense, or if anybody's like, what are you talking about? Just want to make sure everybody's comfortable there. Okay, perfect. Because there is that thing of like, okay, I'm doing a video and I should start selling and why I'm the best person for the job. What would a celebrant say? Megan, talk to me about some of the pain points your couples have. I know one of the things we've discussed before, I'm just memory, is they don't want somebody to take over the wedding, right? Or what did we say? Tell me, go ahead.
A couple said to me recently, they don't want something boring and generic. That comes up for people a lot. They don't want it to be boring and long and fluffy and.
Okay, so I believe that every wedding should be unique and exciting and whatever else is the descriptive word that goes along with that. Does that make sense? Because they're going to go, oh, I believe that too. And then they have that connection with you. Okay, we're not selling, we're just sharing something we believe. And then you're just going to say, and I'm here to answer all your questions. You can reach me by replying to this email. You can give me a call. You can click the button to book a Zoom. We're only going to give them one, by the way. I'm just giving you a suggestion of a few you can do, but we only ever give one call to action. I'm here to answer all your questions. As soon as you're ready, click that button below and book in a Zoom chat so I can help you with all your wedding planning questions. So all you're going to do is introduce yourself. Tell them something you believe they can resonate with you. Tell them you're here to answer their questions and give them that call to action, that next step. And it's going to be quite short and snappy. 60 seconds goes fast, right? 60 seconds goes fast. Now, in this video, I suggest that you simply sit somewhere or stand somewhere that makes sense. So it could just be in your office if your office has a reasonable backdrop. It could be in front of your venue if you want your gorgeous venue behind you. It could be in a beautifully styled room if you're a venue stylist. If it makes sense, have that kind of backdrop behind you. So you are selling something of your product at the same time, but it's not necessary. So don't want you to worry about that too much. Suze, if first call to action is book a viewing, should follow-up call to action be something less daunting? Yes, love that. So Suze, you could definitely say, I'm here to answer your questions. Simply hit reply to this email and let me know how I can help you. So it could be a softer call to action, absolutely. The key here is the pattern interrupt. We've got to stop them just getting all these random emails from suppliers and venues and everything else that they've signed up for, plus their business emails. We need to cut through. I created my Canva just to look good on video. I created my canvas just to look good. You mean like canvas behind your head, like as in for your office? Neha. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Few other things you can add in. So if you're not doing video or if you're doing it as part of a sequence, this will resonate. You will remember that this is very similar to your nurture sequence. So you can do links to blog posts. So when you're following up, if you're sending out 3 or 4 emails, it's not to say, hey, you must do this thing. Hey, you must read my brochure. Oh, I've got this link to this blog, which is really useful right at the stage you're at now, just when you've got engaged, or just when you're looking for your entertainment. Give them something that's relevant. Emma, do you think if dealing with an older couple, they wouldn't appreciate the tech way to communicate? I personally don't think that they would struggle if you've done the tech for them. So I'm thinking of my mum, who's 68. She's not very techy. She can just about use Facebook, but you know, she still gets confused about whether something's private or public. And I think if I gave her a link to book into my diary with a Calendly link, I think she'd be absolutely fine because it's kind of easy. Do I think she'd be comfortable if I sent her a video on email? Yeah, if it was really clear, you just press the play button. Absolutely. So me personally, I don't think older people struggle with you doing the tech for them. Yes, they might struggle to create it themselves, but that's not what we're asking. Okay, so the value in the content. Okay, was thinking of my mum who is no techie. Me neither, Emma. My mum isn't tech either, but I think she'd be fine. But use your mum as a case study. Ask her. Send her an email and say, what do you think about this? Don't pre-frame it. Just send her an email and say, what do you think about this? And see if she goes through the process. Any helpful PDFs that you have. She'd asked me to write a letter. So things like your freebie, if you've got any other useful PDFs, checklists, guides, even things like your supplier list can even be a helpful PDF if it's put together in a nice way. These are my favorite suppliers. I thought this might be helpful for you in this area. You need to think about solutions to help them right now. The problem with weddings is there are loads of things you can help them with. Where are they at when they reach out to you? For most of you, it will be reasonably early on in their journey. If you start to talk to them about helpful tips of where to seat your guests, it's too far down the line. So always think about where they're at now. What tips and help can you support them with right at that moment when they begin reaching out to you? Does that make sense? Suze, is this in the same email as a video? No, this is other things you can do as well. Sorry, I've moved on from video. You could put it in an email with a video, but you'd actually probably give them too much in one. So I might break it up into the follow-up with the video, and then if I didn't hear from them, I might send another one a few days later with something helpful. What I want you to see is that it's value driven. So we're not chasing them to take action all the time. It's value driven, and that way you don't feel like you're being pushy and difficult. Where you put the next step is in the PS. PS, if you're ready to book a Zoom call with me, click here to do that. The PS is a soft sell. So the body of your follow-up email is your video or something useful or a link or a tip or anything that's genuinely going to help them. You're loving them, you're taking care of them, you're being the expert. And your next step can be in your PS. You can change up the next step. So PS, hit reply to this email if you have any questions. PS, click here to book a Zoom call into our diaries. PS, click here to book a tour. You can switch it up through the sequence. The other thing, so remember I'm giving you all sorts of different options here of ways you can put this together. The other thing you can do is ask a question. So when we ask a question, it's more of a conversation. So rather than me sending you an email with information and a full stop, it's more of a conversation. So asking a question can really help to get a response. The biggest mistake I see is people saying, tell me about the proposal. Tell me your vision for your wedding. That question is way too big and will not get a response. You won't get a response to the question anyway. What could you ask instead? Tell me in the comments, what questions could you ask instead that could get you that response? Because tell me the vision for your wedding is going to take me about 5 days to write, and I'm not sure I even have the answer. So it's not going to get the response you want. What could you ask? Tim, have you booked your wedding venue? Yes, perfect. Absolutely. It's a really easy question. Have you booked your wedding venue? And they're going to write back saying, yes, it's at Claridge's, or no, we still haven't decided. It's a really easy response for them to get into conversation. Megan, last week I asked which of the 2 package options I sent you do you feel fits you best? Absolutely. And I love that question to find out how people are feeling. The things like have you confirmed your date? Have you booked your venue? Are you having your ceremony at the venue or somewhere else? Those quick, easy questions. Yeah, thank you, Carol. A bit more detail. Are you looking for a ceremony as well as reception? They're conversation starters. You're just looking for them to answer a question. The other thing I'd encourage you to do, and really this is only for the manual, so if you're not setting up an automated follow-up sequence, if it's manual, then forward your original email. And this is what I mean. I don't mean you just forward it without anything written, but if you're going to do the whole question or send something useful or send a link to a blog post, what I want you to do is go and find in your sent items the original email you sent, and then forward that with your message on the top of it. Why is that so vitally important? If you're doing it manually, it doesn't work obviously on an automated system. This is for manual option. Why is that so important? Tell me in the chat. So we're going to hit forward on that sent one. Yes, exactly. Thank you, guys. Neha, so they can just scroll down. Exactly. Jog their memory. You don't have to repeat because they didn't read it or they can't remember where it was. So exactly. They might not even remember you sent something. They've got hundreds of emails since then. Don't make them work for it. Don't make them work for it. Just pop it there on the thread so that if they then think, oh yeah, actually that was quite interesting, it's right there for them. They don't have to go back and find it. Yeah, Monia, perfect, creates that sequence, memory of where we last left off, 100%. Okay, here's some helpful phrases. Again, when you're putting together either your manual or your automated, these are some of the things that I like to use. If it's been a while, so let's say you're like, oh, I'm going to go back and, oops, typo, sorry about that. I'm going to go back and reach out to some leads from last month or 2 months ago. And, you know, maybe after this session, you're a bit prompted, you think, yes, come on, we're going to go back and follow up on some of those cold leads and see where they're at. This is a lovely way to do it. Please do acknowledge the fact that you haven't spoken in a while. So, hey, Tim, even though we haven't spoken in a while, I know you were really excited about booking a band. Have you chosen one now? Because these people might be 2 months ago, right? And it's totally fine for them to come back and say, thanks, Tim, yeah, we've got a band. Great, you're off my list. I want a yes or a no, because a no also means I can clear you out and I can move on. But do acknowledge that we haven't spoken for a while. It's a really nice way to do it. And I hope that feels quite nice for you guys as well. Even though we haven't spoken for a while, I know you were really keen to find a planner here in Italy. Have you booked a planner now? Yes or no? If they say no, we continue the conversation. If they say yes, great. Wishing you such luck with your wedding. Have an amazing day. Done. You're off my list. All right. So even though we haven't spoken for a while, obviously, if it's been 2 days, don't use that one. Try to bring in something that they have mentioned. If you have any notes, if you have any memory of anything that they did mention, any small detail that they loved, that they were keen on, bring it into the conversation. They want to feel that they are a human being to you. They're not just a number. They're not just another wedding. They're not just another booking. I know you talked about, I remember you mentioned that kind of phrase, and then obviously mention it, really helps people see that you value them as a human being, not just as another booking. The other phrase I really like to use is, you're probably starting to realize, discover, or find out, or find that. And what this does is, remember that your couples don't know how to plan a wedding. They are amateurs. They are at the beginning, usually, when they're reaching out to many of you. And it might be that they're actually in a different place now than they were 2 months ago when they first reached out. Maybe now they've got much more understanding of planning and what they are doing. So you're probably starting to realize that, and then add in something that will connect with them about this wedding planning journey, or something that leads them back to your venue or service. You're probably starting to realize that there is a never-ending list of venues that you could possibly choose. However, you're probably starting to realize that getting the right celebrant for your ceremony is going to be key to the success of the day. You're probably starting to discover that having a wedding planner to hold your hand and do all the admin for you is going to be a real lifesaver. See what you can do with this by dropping in. You're probably starting to realize / discover / find out. Neha, just need to make sure you mention the right thing. I had someone use that on me last year when I was planning my wedding. Oh, did they not mention the right thing? So they'd remembered it differently. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, absolutely. That will totally ruin your sale. Okay. So a few things we've covered. The manual option, the automated option. You can set up a separate nurture sequence. You can use the one that you've already got set up for your lead magnet if it makes sense, or you can manually follow up with people. Think about the time of day. When will it land best for them? And shake it up. If you're always sending the same email at the same time in the same day, it's probably not going to work. Follow-ups should be 1, 2, or 3 days later across that kind of time period, unless you're then going back and digging into those 2, 3, 4-month-old leads just to cross them off your list. Think about pattern interrupts. If you're saying the same thing as everyone else, if it looks the same as everybody else, they are on autopilot. You need to wake them up. You need to get them listening to you. Pattern interrupt. Video message, 1 minute to get them to see your face, hear your voice, get to know, like, and trust you, connect with another human being, introduce yourself, and let them know how they connect with you next. Send valuable help. Links to blogs, PDFs, tips, planning help. This is valuable to them. You are loving and helping them. You are the expert. Make your emails easy to respond to. When you're writing them, think, what am I expecting her or him to say? Is there an easy response here? Because if you can't think of it, they can't think of it either. A few useful phrases that I shared with you. So I would love to know, what is your main takeaway from this session? What's the thing that's jumped out to you, or a little light bulb moment? What's your main takeaway that you're going to action after this session? Let me know in the chat. And of course, if you have questions, let me know. Make a video, Megan. Yes, and Megan, especially as a celebrant, this is absolutely brilliant, because they need to hear your voice, understand your energy, because you're selling you. So for you, I think the video is absolutely critical. Irie also loves the video to wake them up. Demetria's going for the video. Woo-hoo. Neha, helpful phrases and videos. Yeah. Sue's 1 to 3 days follow up, not the end of the month. Oh, I love it. I love it. I know, but that's just us, right? We're like, oh, I'll chase everybody at the end of the month, but then they've just gone off the boil and someone stole them from us. Tim, need to create some content blog posts that will work as follow-ups. So what I would say is, don't overwhelm yourself with writing blog posts if that's not part of your strategy at the moment. Put the tips just there right inside the email. That will be a quicker win for you if you're not yet blogging. Rebecca, make a video, bring forward the follow-up. Yeah, absolutely. So Rebecca, for example, for you, in front of your venue or inside the function room could be lovely. Veronica, what to say when you're contacting them after a while? Yeah, absolutely. Just that acknowledgement. No, we haven't spoken for a while. And just ask them, you know, have you now booked your venue? Irie, super useful session. Yay, I'm so pleased. All right. I had planned for this to be half an hour, but as usual, we've gone for an hour. I hope that was useful. Let me know any questions as well in the Facebook group. And yeah, let me know how you're getting on once these are up and running. Don't forget to come back into the group and let us know how well it's working for you. Suze, great, thanks. Demetria, useful, thank you. You are so welcome. All right, have a great day, guys. And I will see you all soon. Bye.